Welcome to Heroes Rising, hosted by Sifu Rafael, a master instructor, public speaker, and the founder of Speaking Prowess. Known for his expertise in empowering individuals through the art of communication and leadership. Alongside him is co-host Jose Escobar, an acclaimed personal development speaker, 18-time published author, and founder of 2 thriving businesses, including the Connected Leaders Academy. Together, they bring you dynamic conversations with world-class entrepreneurs, industry icons, and visionaries. Heroes Rising is your go-to source for wisdom, motivation, and unstoppable growth. Join us and discover the hero within you.
Diane, welcome to Heroes Rising. How are you today?
Thank you. I am wonderful. How about yourself?
I have to agree with you. You are wonderful.
Thank you.
I am exceptional and I'm getting better every day. It's going to be just you and me, right? We had Sandra Bargman, who was going to be with us, and her power went out. She tried her best from her car, but it wasn't working. And Jose had some thing that he has to take care of. So it's just you and me. But listen, heroes rise no matter what happens, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yes. So I love the topic, and this is something that's very dear to you, the voices beneath the fear. You want to dive in a little bit with that?
Yeah. So we have voices happening in our head or thoughts, depending on how you want to look at them. And there's a lot of negative thoughts. And if you go back to kind of our neuroscience, our brain is designed to search for the negative and give us the negative to keep us alive and safe. But we have negative thoughts going on, or voices or feedback in our nervous system. And so learning how to notice it, catch it, and interrupt it. And so instead of buying into that fear, learning how to interrupt it and redirect it.
I think redirection is probably an important aspect, isn't it?
It is. A lot of times people notice it and they're aware of it and they're like, I just keep thinking these negative thoughts and I keep ruminating on these negative thoughts, but they don't know what to do to redirect it.
So that's something that you do. You help people understand even the thoughts, right? But then also, what are some of the key ingredients that you can share with us without giving away everything you do? Based on how do we redirect those thoughts? Do we have to watch a comedy show? Do we have to read a book? Do we have to maybe take a nap? Or what do we have to do really?
Yeah. So I would say about 15 years ago, that is kind of what we taught, was distracting, go for a walk, watch a show. But that actually distracts our brain. And that isn't actually as useful. So we used to back, and I think it was about 15 years ago, that is what we actually taught people. Not anymore. Now what we teach people is to decide, I call them power senses, but you decide how to tell your brain a different direction. So what happens if you think about it, I use chocolate because I like chocolate. So if you think about in the morning, if you think, I'd like some chocolate, and all day you're like pushing away the thought, I'm not going to have chocolate. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to have chocolate. By the end of the day, you eat way more chocolate than you would have had you just had a little piece of chocolate and been done with it. What happens is the more we stuff away thoughts, the more we push them away, we create a resistance and a tension with it. And it becomes like a tug of war in us. So distracting ourselves by watching a show or going for a walk can be helpful, but it actually can be just a way of pushing that thought away and creating more tension with that thought. So what I suggest is acknowledge that thought, be with that thought, and then actually instead, create a new thought. So first, because here's what a lot of people do. We slap on a better thought. So we're like, I don't want to think about chocolate. So I'm going to think about going for a walk. And we slap on a better thought. But underneath, we still have this other stuff. And so we've got to be able to be present with the underneath emotion, with the thought of wanting the chocolate or whatever it is, and then create a new thought.
Yeah. So it's also I love the fact that yeah, delaying the inevitable. I want chocolate. Yes, yes, LS, you do want chocolate. But this is why I think a lot of people try to safeguard somebody, like children, right? We try to tell children, don't touch it, it's hot. And
Mhm.
what does the child do? Mm-mm, I'm going to touch it. I got to find out for myself. And
Yeah.
so, what winds up happening, I believe, is that because we learned a lesson that I should have heard, I should have listened to you. Now I either burnt myself or it doesn't feel so good. So we carry that into our adulthood, right? And we go, oh, I've been warned about that. Maybe I shouldn't do it. Oh, I've been warned if I have chocolate, it's not going to be good for me. Or if I indulge, it's not going to be good for me. And there's certain things we should definitely not do, right? But in the same context, when we tell a child, don't do something over and over and over again, and we keep pulling them away from it, they're going to want it more and more and more and more. And what do
Yeah.
people want? That which they can't have.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
it's such a underlying effect of, do I deal with it now, or does it surmount to be this huge pile later on?
Yeah. And part of depending on what direction you go with this, part of this is the idea of sitting with the urge without acting on the urge. So I have the urge for chocolate or alcohol or a cigarette or anything else. How do I sit with the urge but choose not to act on it? I can just be present with it. And kind of twisting it a little bit different direction is the idea of how do I feel scared or feel unsure of myself and still take the action. So they're kind of like
Mm,
opposites. Like, how do I feel the urge and not take an action on something that's not healthy for me? But how do I feel the fear or the intimidation and take action on
mm,
something that is? So it's kind of the other side of the coin. There's having the urge and not taking action, and then there's having fear and then taking action.
mm. Yeah, so it's that voice, right? It's that voice that it's underneath. It's underneath the fear. And we sometimes don't take the action because we don't know what's on the other side.
Yeah.
And we don't know, what if I just had that piece of chocolate? I could be done with it.
Mhm.
What if I did my presentation and I bombed? Oh my God. What if, so a lot of people live in what ifs
Yeah.
instead of what could be. And some people take, the old saying is stop shooting over yourself. I should have done this. I should have done that.
Yeah.
And it's so important to understand that failure is a process, right? Fear is sometimes what holds us back from doing those things
Mhm.
because we don't want to experience failure. But sometimes fear could be a good thing. You can say,
Yeah.
you know what? You're afraid, you should run right now. It's creepy over here. Maybe I should get away from it. I don't know what's on the other side, so I should run, right? And that's a good thing. But sometimes we use fear in the wrong way. We don't really understand it sometimes.
How do you know the difference, or how do you tell the difference between fear that is useful and we need to listen to, and then fear that is drama our brain is creating?
Yeah. Well, here's the crazy thing, right? We can imagine anything and we can create anything. And the brain doesn't know the difference,
Hmm.
does it?
It
Because
doesn't know the difference between imagining it and doing it. So the brain sees the picture and it doesn't know. And it's that this is kind of a hard concept for people to wrap their head around. Like, your brain sees a picture and your brain itself doesn't know whether that really happened. And this is why false memories are so common too.
Yeah.
It's very
This is
easy to
why
convince ourselves of something that didn't really happen and start filling in the details.
I think this is why magic is a multi-billion-dollar company or idea, right? I have some great friends of mine who are magicians and illusionists, and they do all these different things. And it's because we think we saw something, and in reality is a sleight of hand or a movement here, something there. And it's pretty interesting. I saw Siegfried and Roy
Mhm.
before the accident, and I had incredible seats. And I saw them, I think it was at the Tropicana in Las Vegas. And I had seats where I can see the illusion because I knew where to look. And if I would have looked this way, I would have been like, oh my God, how they do it. But when I looked this way, I saw the difference of like, oh, I see now how they're doing it. Right.
Uh,
So they're tricking everybody who's looking straight on. All you have to do is do this and you can see the illusion. And it was a phenomenal show. I don't want to take anything away from them because they thought of how do we trick the eye to imagine this is really happening.
yeah,
And so that made me think we can do that with our mind.
yeah. Our brain does that to us. Our brain tricks us all the time to keep us safe, thinking it's keeping us safe. And that's where my question kind of becomes, how do we know the difference between truly things that we do need to be concerned and afraid of, and things that our brain is just telling us because it's saying, I don't want you to get hurt. I'm trying to protect you.
Yeah. So we have that fear or we have that flight, right? We need to either stay in it, or we need to get away from it. And you teach people, and I love the fact that you do this. You teach people how to not conquer fear because I don't think we could ever conquer fear, and that's my thought, but how to deal with fear.
Yeah.
Talk to
One
us
of
about that.
Okay. So one of the things, and not just fear, but emotions, one of the things that I think that we don't do very well in America is teach people how to feel and be present with emotions. Not to let our emotions rule our life, but to acknowledge and be present with them. So, what I teach people to start learning to recognize what a feeling is, because a lot of times people can name a feeling, but they can't describe it. Like, where do you feel it? What does it feel like in your body? So, what I ask people to start doing just to start understanding emotions is there's sensations in the body. So, our body communicates with sensations, our brain communicates with thoughts. So, our body feels a sensation, we go to our brain and we label it. But as humans, we love to stay in our brain. We love to think about it and turn it around and justify it and stay in our brain. But we don't like to be in our body. So, what I teach people to do is start staying present by asking questions. And the answers don't matter so much as just it keeps you present in your body. So, what color is it? Is it hot? Is it cold? Does it make you feel open? Does it make you feel closed? Does it
Mm,
is it moving around? Does it feel like tar? Does it feel like sunshine? And the
mm,
answers aren't important. What's important is it keeps you in your body because otherwise we want to go to our head and think, I shouldn't be feeling this way. How do I get rid of this? And we try to fix it in our brain. And so, what I teach people to do first is start noticing their thoughts, but then second is to start being present with emotions without judging them. They're just there. And it doesn't mean you need to act. So, when you feel fear, it's just information. That's all it is.
It is information because what may scare you may not scare me, and what may scare me may not scare you.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm afraid of heights. Lots of people aren't.
I'm not. And I've fallen from lots of heights. I have literally I went in a coma from falling from a height.
Mm,
But I'm not afraid of heights. It's kind of crazy, isn't
that's interesting. So,
it?
our fears aren't factual. They aren't something that just because I'm afraid of heights doesn't mean heights are dangerous. It's just information.
Yeah. Great information can help us, right? And sometimes when we are misinformed because someone else instilled that feeling in us, oof, that's a
Yeah.
powerful thing. And sometimes those are embedded, aren't they, from childhood?
Yeah, some of them. What acceptance and commitment therapy talks about is we buy into them. Somebody gives us a thought, and we can either take that thought and buy into it and believe it, and then we take on the emotion that comes with that, or we can
Right.
choose not to. But so a lot of the beliefs, so one of the things I help people do is identify, is this a useful belief? Because that belief might have come from childhood or somebody else that no longer in the thought no longer serves you. That belief no longer serves you anymore.
I'm loving this conversation because it is, and you started with the voices in our head or the thoughts in our head, but they are our own voice. But
Mhm.
sometimes it could be our mom's voice or our
Yeah.
dad's voice or our somebody who's in our head literally all the time. It's very interesting because I have a method called Sifu's mind body method. And somebody said, "You were in my head." I said, "Well, I hope it was a good thought."
Mhm.
And they said, "Yeah, you, when I was thinking of doing the wrong thing because of the principles that you teach us all the time, it made me think and it made me act a certain way," which was a positive thing for them.
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, I'm happy that I was in your head." And they're like, "How do I get you out of my head?" I said, "Do you want me out of your head?" I said, "Because then that means you're gonna do the wrong thing for yourself." So I said, "I only wanna be in your head if it's positive." But a lot of
Yeah.
people carry the negative from other people in their head. Talk to us about that if you
So a lot of times people give us negative thoughts, or even if they didn't intend for them to be negative, we took them in. And so what I think happens is we have a thought and it becomes a belief. So the way a thought becomes a belief is we buy into it and we make it a belief. But we don't have to keep that belief. We can change it. And I'm going to give you an example. I've got my fist here closed. A lot of times we have a belief and we're like, this is true. This is just the way it is. But it's just a thought that we have learned and learned to believe. So what I like to teach people is slowly opening your brain. I'm opening my hand with those people who can't see, but you want to slowly start training your brain a new possible thought. What if this thought isn't a fact? What if it could be different? And we start challenging the way we think about something. If we have taken on a negative thought and we no longer want to carry it, if it's from childhood or somewhere else and it's no longer useful, we can change that belief. We don't have to keep our old beliefs. So if there's a negative voice or a negative thought that you keep replaying, you can start changing it by challenging it and opening your brain to a new idea of it is possible this isn't a fact. It is possible this isn't true. What would it be
can.
like if I believed this wasn't true? Can I give myself permission to believe it's not true?
Yeah, that's interesting. It, I gotta tell you, we do carry so much luggage in our brain.
Mhm.
Um, we would travel a lot lighter if we let go.
Yeah.
Our days will be brighter. And we can say things like you said when we first got started. And I can say things like, and I do, right? Because at the age of 18, I made a decision that really transformed me tremendously. And that was to fully forgive
Mm.
without the people who I forgave even knowing about it,
Yeah.
because it was not about them. It was
Yeah.
about me. And that really opened up my eyes like I've never had them open before that. Um, when I was young as a child, I used to have such temper tantrums. I used to bang my head against the wall.
Mm.
Explains a lot, maybe, but I used to bang my head against the wall. And I was in Colombia, And in Colombia, the walls were not made like sheetrock like they're here. They were solid concrete. And if I would have done it here in the States, I would have gone through the wall. But there, I was just hitting into the wall, and you can see the wall moving. And people were afraid that I was going to hurt myself. For some strange reason, I never bled. But I was hitting that hard, right? And there was so much anger that I had until I fully let go of it. And anybody who knows me goes, man, I've never seen you angry. I said, because there's no reason to. But prior to me holding on to that negative vibes or energy or luggage, I could get angry. But I don't. I choose how I live my life. I don't allow anybody else to choose it for me.
Yeah. I think what you're saying there is really powerful because it's a choice. I have times where I choose to be angry. There are things I want to be angry about. It's a choice to carry that anger and be angry, or it's a choice not to. And I'm going to give an example because sometimes people are like, well, why would you want to be angry? But he called my niece when she was 12 years old a bitch. I want to be angry about that. There are things that we want to and choose to be angry about. There's nothing wrong with anger. It's just an emotion. But we need to make choice about it, not let it run us.
Yeah. To make that choice. Because we have a choice every day.
Yeah.
How
And
do
when
we
when you forgave, you made a choice to let go of that anger, and you just decided, I'm not going to keep carrying this. I'm not going to do this to myself anymore. It was a choice.
It's so interesting when we can consider the choices we make. I've worked with people who, and I would question it. I'm like, why are they throwing things? Why are they slamming things? I worked with a gentleman and I was learning from him. He was a master. I mean, a master craftsman. This is when I was learning how to do woodworking. I own a wood shop, but this is many, many years ago. And he was amazing. And the work, what I learned from him was incredible. That's why I used to work in mansions and do all this woodworking stuff. But when he would get angry, he would take all these tools and throw them on the floor and be all angry. And I was like, oh my gosh, we're going to need those tools. So his anger affected him long term because maybe he had to replace them.
Yeah.
Or we had to fix them. So it wasn't just a temporary thing. It became a longer thing. It became something like, oh, now we can't finish this project because we got to go get the tools that you just finished breaking. Yeah. So it did affect not just for the moment, but sometimes anger can affect your whole rest of your life because people commit crimes when they're
angry. Yeah. But I feel like this is where emotions get negative, get a bad name, I guess I'll say, because it wasn't his anger. It was his inability to choose. Like he was reacting. So it was his reaction that was inappropriate. Anger is not a problem. Anger is just an emotion giving you information. It's just informing you that you don't feel okay about something. But it's the action we take from that anger that is so important. And so I want to kind of like a lot of times I feel like people start thinking anger is a problem. Anger is not a problem. It's what we do with it that matters. Sadness, not a problem. Grieving, not a problem. It's what we do when we're in that space. Do we honor it? Do we listen and not react, but listen to what is it telling me?
Yeah. It's interesting when we can look back on our own lives, right? I'm sure every so often you reflect back, a memory, a thought brought you back to a place where you go, wow, I am so happy where I am today based on to where I used to be, right? And I do that all the time. And Not necessarily that I'm happy I'm where I am now, but I am different because of my actions. Like you said about the anger. And it wasn't his anger that really made him do, it was his actions
Yeah,
that made
exactly.
later on it wasn't to get even angrier. So
Yeah.
um, when we think about the fear, um, what's the best way? Because you work with people all the time, that we can help somebody who has, as they call, anger issues, but it's really fear issues.
Yeah. So I think what labeling it is the first thing, like getting understanding anger is a blanket emotion that is covering the fear. So the way I describe it to people is we have two main emotions, fear and love. Everything else comes from those. So if you're angry, it's coming from fear. And that's okay. It's what you do with it. So starting to learn, like, am I coming from love? Can I come from love? If I need to come from fear, how do I listen to fear? How do I trust fear and just acknowledging that it's there to serve, like, how can it serve me? Instead of what often happens is we get it into our head and then we think about it, justify it, analyze it, and build it. I don't know if anybody knows what I'm talking about when I'm talking about, but we snowball it. We're like, and this, and this, and this, and oh my gosh, I'll be homeless, and my kids will get taken from me, and we snowball it, and that's fear. Instead of going, what is this fear here to tell me? How can I trust it and listen to it, but not overreact again?
Yeah,
It's
I think
it,
that's awesome, beautiful.
it comes back to
Yeah,
choice, to really
it
making
is.
choice.
It is making choices. There's two comments on here. I want you to. I think
Yeah.
we should both chime in, but take a look at the first one from Geraldine. Right. Um, I like the fact of smashing the glass. You don't get angry anymore. There's actually a place in my neighborhood that is capitalizing on it, and it may be going across the country where they have a place where that you go and smash things. They have like sledgehammers. They have all kinds of things that you can go and break and this. And I had a client who whose daughter was super angry, would growl, all these different things. So the dad said, I'm going to take her there,
Mhm.
let her let it out. And I said, how was it? He said, I did it too. And it
Mhm.
was so satisfying to let all the anger out because he had anger at his daughter for being
Mhm.
angry all the time.
Mhm.
So sometimes we don't even realize the anger we have. So
Yeah.
that's why I wanted to just touch upon it, but can you touch upon it as well?
Yeah. I think that's a really good point, and what I would add to that is a lot of times when we have anger like that, what happens is our body is shooting cortisol in, and so it releases that cortisol in a productive way. Instead of attacking and hurting someone else, it's a productive way of releasing that cortisol and validating that it needs to come out. You
Brilliant.
can learn to have it come out in a calmer meditation, driving and praying. But getting it out in a more aggressive way is fine. So it needs a release. It doesn't have to look a certain way to be a safe release. But we don't want it to spew out onto other people and hurt it or hurt
Yeah,
them.
yeah. So I want to thank everybody who's been chiming in. Ellis, Kirkpatrick, Stacy also, and here's Stacy's question, right? And then I also want to say thank you, Geraldine, for that. So when emotions fuel your reactions, how do we slow it
Oh, that is such a great question because so many of us don't know how to. And what that is getting out of your head and into your body because our brain speeds it up. Our brain gets it rolling and going. So get into your body and notice, where do I feel it? What does it feel like? Does it tingle? Is it hot? Is it sharp? Is it cold? And the reason those questions are so useful is because it helps you stay present and slow things down. If you think about the way to slow things down is to stay fully present. What we do is we catastrophize into the future or we go back to the past where we've seen something happen before.
Absolutely. So do us a favor. That was a great question, by the way, Stacy. Thank you for being so engaged with us. Anybody else? Like I have Angeline, I have Michael Stevenson, I have Stacy, we just Emilio, freelance manual. Just go ahead. It's okay to ask questions, and this is why we're doing this show, because it's heroes rising, right? And every hero, if you think about it, if you go back in time, everybody has gone through some sort of adversity. Everybody has gone from the ground all the way up, or maybe even below the ground, and has come up. So it's about leveraging what you have in front of you. I believe that every day, and you talked about choices, Diane, we have a choice of what to do, how to do it, and even who to engage with. Because sometimes we engage with the right people, but so many times the wrong people show up. Do we encourage engagement or do we encourage? Because some people want to fix somebody, meanwhile, they don't know how to fix somebody, and then they get broken as well, right? So it becomes a problem for both.
And we can't fix anybody. And so kind of learning to accept as a therapist, I can't fix anybody. That is not my job. I literally cannot. That is not possible for me to fix people. I want to go back to what Stacy said. Thank you so much. I want to go back to what Stacy said because the other thing that I teach people to do is create a mantra of some kind. What I often have clients do is a variation of I'm safe, I'm okay, I can handle this, breathe. And have practicing that a lot, not just when you need it, so that you are sending a message to your parasympathetic nervous system to take over when you say that.
Absolutely. Having a mantra, I think, is such a beautiful thing. I work with kids, right? And sometimes they'll come in and they'll think they're less than.
Mm.
And so automatically I say, hey, you're awesome. No, I'm not. I said, no, change it, change it. And so now they hear me say, every time they come in, they come to the front desk, they either look at me or the person at the front desk, they have to say, hi, how are you today? And so at the front desk, we're always saying a positive message. So they hear me say it every time, exceptional and getting better every day. And so I've had kids who even had the word exceptional, they couldn't say it.
Mhm. Yeah.
They were crying. They were like, I'm accepting. And I said, you're doing
Yeah.
great. Keep it up. But eventually they said it enough that they worked through it. And now they're saying it. And the funny thing is, I've had parents come over and say, they say that to their friends too. I said, wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Because I want to understand that every one of us is exceptional. The thing is that our actions is what's going to show how
How
exceptional we're.
yeah.
If I come in and I'm mean to a person, I'm not exceptional, am I? If I'm nice to somebody, if I lend a hand, then yeah, I'm exceptional. So I'm teaching those lessons every single day, and that's how we can help kind of implant the positivity of that one word, and then getting better is because I want to get better at being helpful. I want to be better at doing chores around the house. I want to be able to help mom and dad. I want to be able to be nicer to my spouse or even help out my spouse or whatever it is. So
Mhm.
I think that the way we show up and we show up for other people is helpful.
Yeah. I want to add to what you're talking about there about being exceptional. And I've got two thoughts. One is a lot of times when we tell someone, for me, I use the word amazing. And when I tell clients, like, try saying I'm amazing, a lot of times they can't. They just that's just not something they can say about themselves. They aren't. So I have this exercise that I have them do to start trying to open their brain to the idea that they're amazing. And so I'll have them like start, what if I was amazing? So it's like having sentence stems to start opening your brain to, what would it be like if I believed it? Can I give myself permission to think I'm amazing? What if I were amazing? What would I do? How would I act? And start opening and having kind of like, I give myself permission to start thinking that I'm amazing. Because what often happens is, it's called a cognitive dissonance. If I currently think I'm not amazing and I'm telling myself I am amazing, my brain can't make that jump. It's too big. So it's called a cognitive dissonance because I don't believe what I'm telling myself, which is why a lot of times positive affirmations don't work, because our brain is disconnected. It's like, I don't believe that. So we have to introduce it and come to neutral first and then go positive. And so first we're coming to, so I use the example, I hate my body. If somebody said, I hate my body, and we're trying to get them to, I love my body, you can't go from I hate my body to I love my body. It's too big a jump. So we have to go to, I have a body. It's neutral. I have a body with working parts. There are things I like about my body. And so we start opening our brain to this new way of thinking. And that's actually how we change beliefs.
How do we deal with somebody who is so resistant to changing, and they want to be miserable, literally. They want to be miserable, and I know it has to come from within, because we can't help them until they're ready to accept the help, right? And it's very interesting because I've encountered a lot of people like that. And I've also encountered some people like, oh my gosh, they're happy all the time. I love them so much, right? They're incredible. And then when I say happy all the time, it reminds me of a young lady who every time I will see her 1 minute, and she's like, hi. And then like 3 minutes later, I'll pass by and she'll go, hi. And I'm like, oh my gosh, she's so vibrant, so happy. I said, how can we share how can we bottle that and just sprinkle it on the people who are like, kind of that deal.
So I have run into the same thing that you're talking about, where there's some people that their identity is being, and I had a client and she was like 21 when I took her on. And it was so interesting because she said, I have never, no, she must have been 19. She said, I don't know who I would be if I wasn't depressed and anxious. That's all I've known myself to be. And so we had to start just trying on this idea. And so I use the idea of a dressing room. You go into the dressing room, you try on this new identity, and you see what fits, what doesn't, and you just kind of play with it. And so that's what we had to start with is, what would it be like? Like, can you try on this new identity? And what do you think about it? Do you want that new identity? Do you want to keep holding on to the depressed and anxious identity? Like, it's starting to open people's ideas, their brain up to the idea that they could choose a different identity. And maybe it served you to have this identity, but maybe it's not serving you anymore. What would it be like if you decided you didn't want to have that identity anymore?
I love the concept of dressing room. It's a beautiful concept
Yeah.
because I could have been wearing a suit today, but I said, I'm just going to be chill more today. And it doesn't change who I am internally, but on the outside, I can definitely, it's like creating a facade almost. And some people do that because they never want to show who they really are. So how do we help somebody to come out of their shell, if you will, and really get to the yoke?
Yeah. In my opinion, I think it's really about helping people understand that they're 100% lovable, valuable, and worthy. There is nothing, and this kind of rocks people world when I tell them this. There is nothing they can do to make themselves more lovable, valuable, and worthy. And it's not a choice. It is given to you because you were born a human. So it's not something you earned or didn't earn, because it is not an earning thing. So when you're talking about how do we help people come into and see their own value, they've got to kind of challenge the belief that what you wear and what you do doesn't make you more valuable. Your humanness does. And that's it.
I say we would treat each other so differently if we were blind, wouldn't we?
Yeah, we would.
There's no judgment, right? No judgment. And so for me, when I see another person, I don't look at the facade. I look for the heart.
Mhm.
I look for the brain. Those are the two things that I look for in a person. And that's what attracts me to another human being.
So what I think is very attractive in another human is when their nervous system and their body are aligned because they're giving off a congruent message. A lot of times we meet someone and we're like, oh, there's just something off. I can't quite put my finger on it. And it's because what their nervous system is sending out, message their nervous system is telling us is not matching what their words and their expression are telling us. And so there's this incongruent feeling. But when somebody's congruent, even if we don't agree with them, there's a sense of, I feel safe here. I get this person.
It's very interesting when we can read somebody, if you will, right? That's basically what we're saying. Our body can read somebody else's body.
Yeah.
And what a great topic we're having today. And anybody who's chiming in at the last minute, or you're going to watch this on the replay, the voice beneath the fear, that's the topic of today. And just want to let you know that sending prayers to Jose. I know he's going through a little bit of something. Somebody he knew, passed. And then also our other guest was going to be on, and she had internet issues, the power went out and so forth. But I am so grateful to you, Diane, for hanging out with me and talking about this I believe it's a very important topic. And I just want to share with everybody that no matter what you're going through, you're not alone. You're not alone. Even though you are alone, you can seek help. You can seek somebody that may be just an ear. You just maybe sometimes say it to yourself, say it out loud. Right? Go into a quiet area and just speak. Because sometimes the voices that are in your head need to come out. So you can make sense of it, right? Because sometimes also one of the things I like doing is when I learn, sometimes I'll speak it because it'll be in my head. Now it comes out. Now it's been in the world and now I hear it again and it reinforces maybe what I was thinking. What are your thoughts on that?
I totally like the more senses, the more of your 5 or 6, depending on what you believe. I believe in 6 senses because I believe we're intuitive too. But the more senses you can use, the more you are going to create and instill that belief quicker. So what I would say to that is, sorry, I got distracted reading the, what I would say to that is two different thoughts. One is do thought dumps to clean out your brain and write down the junk in your brain to get it out. But I sometimes encourage people not to say it because the more you say it, the more you believe it. So you don't want to reinforce negative beliefs about yourself, but dumping them out on a piece of paper is what I actually suggest on that. But then the beliefs you're incorporating, the beliefs you want to train yourself, you want to say them, hear them, think them as much as possible. So the more you speak them, the more you hear them, the more you hear them, the more you think them again. So they create a cycle of creating positive.
I appreciate you clarifying that. In my brain, I was thinking positive, positive, positive. But if somebody keeps saying to myself, I'm a dummy, I'm no good, but they keep verbalizing it, then they start to believe it, right? So thank you for clarifying that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's important.
One of the things when I catch clients as we're talking, and I'm talking with a client, when I hear them say something that's not really positive toward themselves, I will challenge them to say, I would like to challenge you to not say that ever again about yourself. Whether it's true or not doesn't mean it's worth saying.
I challenge my clients when they say I'm tired. I say, I don't want to ever hear you say that. don't ever say you're tired to me
Yeah.
because you're like 8 years old or you're like 20 years old. You cannot tell me you're tired. And I don't care what you're going through, somebody else is going through it worse. So get up and move because you're here with me now and we're here to move. I said, if you were really tired, you'd be home in bed.
So I think you make a really good point, and it's not just tired, it's learning to recognize what you're saying out of habit. I have a daughter with Down syndrome. She's 19 now, but she was probably 14 or 15, and she would walk around saying she was hungry. And she would just finish eating and she would still say she was hungry. And I'm like, you're not hungry. It's a habit to say you're hungry. And then during the winter, I live in Indiana and it's cold in the winter. And during the winter, I started noticing I was saying I was tired all the time. And I was like, I need to just, that's become a habit. So I stopped saying I'm tired. But it's not just tired or I'm hungry. It's all kinds of things that we say that bring our energy down. And we start saying them out of habit. And so we really need to catch those things we say out of habit and nix them if they're not useful.
Yeah. So we need to speak positivity unto ourselves, right? What if you're a person who says, I just can't do it? Could you maybe write it and put it on the wall? Affirmations of like, I'm worthy, I'm beautiful, all these different things, and eventually maybe try to say them. But even though you may have trouble in the beginning because you don't feel that, but at least write them down and put them up somewhere.
So here's what I tell people to do. You can totally write them down and put them up somewhere, but I tell them to go into the dressing room and try it on and be like, what if I did believe I'm beautiful? What would it be like? How would I feel? And you try it on and play with it and be like, just like you would go into a dressing room and try on an outfit, you'd be like, does it feel like me? Do I like it? So for me, I'm awesome is a good feeling, but there are other words that don't fit. And so it's like, try on the words and be like, is this my word? And then when you find the word, even if it feels awkward and uncomfortable because you're not used to it, then you start practicing it. But you want to go into the dressing room and try on what is my word for me that feels like me and feels like honoring me, and then start instilling that new belief.
So a lot of the times when the kids do come up and I'll say, how are you? And they'll say, I'm good. I'm like, no, you're not. I said, you're great. Like, I'm great. I'm like, that's right. You are great. You're not good. Good is not you. I see how awesome you are. And so I always say that to them. Now the kids come in and they're ready to tell me, they're like, I am beyond awesome. I am amazing. I am. And so they get excited to come and share it with me because I don't let them say I'm mediocre.
Yeah.
I don't let them. Right? And even though the kids that come in, I'll have a kid that comes in, he's a moody one, but his mood can go. And so a lot of times he'll come in and go, how you doing? And I'm like, what's wrong? Oh, somebody at school didn't let me talk. I said, did you let them talk? Well, and then they get into it. So I said, okay, did you want me to turn you upside down, to turn that frown upside down? They're like, what do you mean? So I'll go over there and I'll lift them up and turn them upside down. They'll listen, they're laughing and having a good time. I go back and they're like, I'm like, what happened to your smile? You want me to put you upside down again? No, no, no. I said, just relax, let it go. I said, you're here. We love you here. So let's have some fun. You want to have some fun? Okay. But it doesn't always work. It may take 15, 20 minutes of me prodding them and doing different things and just letting them know how amazing they are. But sometimes they are shutting down so much that it's a little hard. But I always accept a challenge. That's me.
Awesome. I want to go back to something we were talking earlier, and I think quite a few times today I've said, is it serving you? And I kind of thought about it and I was like, well, people may not really know what I mean by that. So I wanted to clarify. When I say, is this serving you? Is this emotion serving you? Is this this thought you're having and you're trying on a new thought serving you? The question, what I'm really saying when I say that is, when I think it, what emotion does it feel? So a thought creates a feeling. And a lot of times we think a thought and we think it is serving us. But the only way to really know is to check out, how does it what a feeling does it create in me? And if it is creating an emotion that drives me in the direction I want to go, then it is serving me. If it is not creating emotion that is driving me in the direction I want to go, then it's no longer serving me. So I wanted to clarify that because it's kind of ambiguous to say, is it serving me? Well, how do I know if it's serving me? Well, the reason I know is because what it's creating an emotion in me. So feeling sad can totally serve us. Grieving can totally serve us at a time. So checking in with yourself, is this serving me right now with what I'm doing right now?
Yeah, is it serving me? I just wanted to shout out to Matt Cartwright, who just gave us a little heart a little bit ago. Matt, you're welcome to chime in. He's also an incredible therapist out of New York. And I just had a conversation with him yesterday, and what a phenomenal human being. And we talked about human being the person that you actually want to be, right? So when we talk about is it serving you, sometimes we think it is, but it takes someone else to say, I don't think so. Right? It takes somebody who loves upon you to say, you know what? It's not serving you. Your mood is not serving you. Your attitude is not serving you. The way you treat someone else is not serving you. And so it's a matter of evaluating. What advice would you give a parent, Diane, of a moody child?
So I might answer this different than you might, because my thought is there's nothing wrong with being sad or moody. It's what you do with it. So I don't want to teach, you shouldn't have negative emotions. No, you're going to. Life is 50-50. 50, like, I don't think we're made to be happy all the time. So I'm good with if you're sad or upset or whatever, but it's what you do with it. Are you using it to grow, or are you getting stuck and pouting and moping? Are you getting in touch with it and using it to help you become a better version of you?
I love that. So it's very interesting that I think along those lines, right? Because I will tell kids who come, they're angry. And I'm like, it's okay to get angry. It's okay to get mad. I said, just don't take it out on other people.
Yeah.
That's the key. It's okay. Be angry. Scream if you have to. I said, but don't take it out on other people. So, for example, I work with an autistic kid, and I call him a kid, he's 25, but sometimes he acts like 2. And he'll come in so mad and yelling, and so I've had to say to him in the past, I said, what did I do? I said, I see you're angry. I said, but did I do it? Oh, no, but I'm still angry. I said, that's okay. Be angry. I said, but don't take it out on me. I said, because if you're going to take it out on me, I'm going to tell your mom you have to go home. I don't want to go home. I said, so then you're here. Okay. But I want to beat up Bob. Bob is we call it body opponent bag. It looks like a man, right? It's got no arms, and you can hit it. So I said, okay, you want to beat up Bob? Okay, beat up Bob. So he'll start, put gloves on, he'll hit it, and then he'll grab its shirt and he'll be like, Bob. So he gets into it. But when he starts being nasty to Bob, that's when I stop him. And I go, wait. I said, you can beat up Bob. I said, but you can't blame Bob.
Yeah.
Bob didn't make you angry. Then he go, okay. He's so cute. He's adorable. I love the kid. But his mom said to me, you're like one of the few people that knows how to handle my son. I said, because I love him.
Yeah.
I said, because, I feel for him. Because if I can help him in any way, and I understand that he doesn't understand what he's doing, but if I can help reflect on his actions, then I think it's a win-win for both of us.
Yeah. I want to build on something you said because I think it's so important. I think so few people really understand this. Bob didn't do anything to make you angry or mad, I think is what you said. Here's the thing is other people don't do things in general to make us mad. It is our thoughts about what they did. It's our judgments that they shouldn't have done that. So a lot of times we want to blame other people and be like, I call it outsourcing our emotions. If they would only behave right, then I could feel better. But other people don't have to behave the way we think they should. And so blaming other people, in this case, he was blaming Bob for his emotions or he was taking it out on Bob. And so blaming other people for our emotions is unhealthy, in my opinion, because it is our thoughts about their behavior that is causing us to feel that way.
It's definitely taking ownership, isn't it?
Yeah. And so many people, their mood is dependent on other people's behavior. If they would just behave different, if my boss would just do this, if my partner would just do this, if my kids would just do this, then I could feel better. And we got to stop blaming everybody else for our emotions and own them. Because that's where we get self-leadership.
Yeah. I think I saw something recently, and it was very funny when I saw it. And it was, if you are angry or if you're not dealing with your emotions, look in the mirror and ask that person for some guidance. Right?
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty cool, pretty clever. Let me share something that's happening with us in September. Take a look.
The city never sleeps, and neither do the dreamers who build its pulse. From every corner of the globe they come. Visionaries, creators, leaders, each carrying a spark ready to ignite the world. This is not an event, it's a revolution of rhythm and reason. A symphony of minds, a movement of momentum. Sifu, Rafael, Lancelot, Jose Escobar. Together they set the stage for brilliance. This is the NYC experience. Mastermind, light up the city. They coming from the east, coming from the west. Knowledge on deck, put the truth to the test. Leaders in motion, hearts in sync, dropping wisdom so deep it'll make you think. They bring stories, sweat and flame, different faces, one shared name. Elevation, that's the sound. NYC experience, mastermind, where purpose is found.
And there you have it. Where purpose is found. New York City Mastermind. We have a blast doing it, and we'd love for people to join us. So, Diane, I got to tell you what an interesting conversation we've had. We've had a lot of people drop by and say things to us and even ask questions, which I love. What's one thing that you would want somebody to walk away with from today's show?
Oh, I would say practice kindness and compassion. The world would be a different place if we were all kind and compassionate to ourselves and others.
It's the saying comes to mind: treat people the way you want to be treated. But I think there's some falsehood in that, because maybe I want to be treated a certain way, but they want to be treated differently than I want to be treated.
Yeah.
So I think the better way to say it is treat people the way they want to be treated. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. And I would add to that, because a lot of times we don't treat ourselves well. So when we say to treat others like you want to be treated, but we don't treat ourselves well. So I think it starts with learning how to treat ourselves well, because when I treat me well, I'm going to treat other people better. I'm the hardest one to love because it's me. So real quick, I just want to say, like, if you think about with loving yourself, you are the giver of the love and the receiver. You are the lover and the lovee, and that makes it hard. So a lot of times we think of someone else that we love, and then we can have loving thoughts toward ourselves. But loving ourselves is the hardest thing to do. And when we love ourselves, showing up with kindness and compassion is so much easier.
It's like I said, at 18, I found it all out. I've been loving myself for so long. I just know how to love others now, right? So that's the beauty of it. Before we wrap it up, I'd love for everybody, I'm going to put your website at the bottom of the screen going across. Tell us what somebody can expect when they go to your website and how they can connect with you.
Okay. So on my website, there is an assessment that you can take. There's 4 different types of when we lose access to ourselves and how to manage that, losing our ability to regulate. I call it the brain hijack. And then there is also a webinar that you can watch to learn about how to stay present in relationships and like really ground yourself. And then you can work with me too. There's a work with me site there too.
I love it. I love it. Diane, what an incredible pleasure today was spending this time with you. Thank you for spending it with me as well.
Thank you. This was wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Everybody do me a favor, share this episode with somebody who needed to hear today's message, because there were so many important aspects of what we shared today. And you definitely have to connect with Diane. I am beyond happy that you and I are connected for sure. And I got to say, I didn't put it up here, but Diane is going to be one of our featured speakers at the event we're doing August 21st for Unified Leadership Summit. You're going to get more information on that, everybody, because I will start blasting it out there. Diane's going to blast it. Every speaker is going to blast it. We want you there. It's a leadership summit. Come find out, and we'll talk soon. Take care, everybody. Have a blessed day.